Out front tonight, we begin with the breaking news, and that is a Trump loss tonight. A New York judge tonight rejecting one of Trump's last-ditch efforts to delay his criminal hush money trial. Trump's team wanted the case delayed until after the Supreme Court rules on Trump's immunity claim, right, that he's immune from anything he did while he was president. But that ruling, of course, could take months from the Supreme Court. But as of tonight, Trump is going to trial this month in that case in just over 10 days. Judge Juan Merchan writing, this court finds that defendant had myriad opportunities to raise the claim of presidential immunity well before March 7th, 2024. And by the way, when you talk about myriad opportunities, just to be clear, Trump went to court for the first time in this case, appeared in court exactly 1 year ago. And the immunity claim only came today. So that is a fail for Trump's delay strategy in this case. But that strategy is finding fertile ground with a judge in Florida tonight, a judge Trump appointed. Judge Aileen Cannon, of course, is presiding over Trump's classified documents case, and she is being accused of upping the ante on stalling the case to avoid trial. And the special counsel Jack Smith's frustration is now clearly evident. It was a scathing filing that he put forth, Smith in it, accusing the judge of putting the entire case in jeopardy before it even begins, specifically because of her unusual request that jury instructions in the case be based on Trump's claim that he had the authority to take classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. Now, this is a judge who has repeatedly ruled for Trump again and again on important claims in the case. She has slow-rolled what has long been considered an open and shut case, very black and white, with 40 counts against Trump. She has delayed it so much it's essentially at a standstill. She'd originally scheduled the trial for May 20th. Recently, though, she said prosecutors' proposed date of July 8th was too soon, and as of tonight, she has no date on the calendar for the trial to start. Among her biggest moves to stall the case, she aligned herself with Trump and appointed a special master to review more than 11,000 records from Mar-a-Lago. Think about that amount of time. Well, that decision was overruled by the 11th Circuit Court, a court which, by the way, is made up of judges nominated by former Presidents George W. Bush and Trump. And as for Trump, of course, when it comes to Judge Aileen Cannon, he's got nothing but praise.
I know it's a very highly respected judge, a very smart judge, and a very strong judge. I'm very proud to have appointed her, but she's very smart and very strong and loves our country. Loves our country. We need judges that love our country, so they do the right thing.
Smart, strong, those are stunning words from Trump when you compare them to what he has said about justices in his other cases.
This judge is a lunatic. He's a nasty judge. I have a Trump-hating judge. Her whole life is not liking me.
Evan Perez is out front live in Washington to begin our coverage tonight. And Evan, so this breaking development in the New York hush money case, what more are you learning about why the judge rejected Trump's immunity claim, even as it comes in the final hour here after this has been an issue for over a year, the case itself? And what other ways is Trump trying to delay the case? You've got it set to trial, of course, in just days.
Right, Aaron. He is throwing everything he can at the wall to try to get this case delayed. And one of the things the judge points out in his ruling today, Judge Merchan, is he points out that Trump actually did try to use this immunity claim when he tried to move this case to federal court. That attempt, of course, failed. And the judge points out that given the fact that this request came so late, just days, as you pointed out, before this case was supposed to go to trial, it really, what he says, strains the credulity of the court. And the judge is just not buying this. Now, one of the things that is still in the offing, the Trump team is trying to get the judge to be recused. They're also saying that raising the issue of pretrial publicity and publicity around this trial. Of course, as you pointed out, you know, the former president's attacks on the judge and attacks on the district attorney, those are the things that are creating some of the at least some of the pretrial publicity that is surrounding this case. And so one of the things that also stood out to me in this ruling from the judge it's very strange for the former president to be claiming immunity for something that is he alleged to have done before the 2016 before the 2016 campaign. And so that's one of the parts of this that has never really made any sense. The judge shooting this all down. This trial appears now certainly to be set to go to start in just 10 days, Aaron.
All right, Evan, thank you very much, and such a crucial point. Hard to claim presidential immunity for something that you did when you weren't president. Out front now, Ty Cobb, former Trump White House lawyer. So, Ty, obviously there's some, intellectual hoops to jump through to even get there. So the judge then says no to Trump's immunity claim in the hush money case. But as Evan points out, his attorneys are still pursuing other avenues to try to delay the trial, to complain about the publicity around it, to get the judge kicked off, all these things. The trial, though, is set to start in just days, right? In just over 10 days, on April 15th. Will Trump succeed at delaying it beyond that?
I don't believe so, although I don't think we're done with attempts to delay it. And I think that those attempts will get even more desperate. I would not be surprised to see Trump's team try to mandamus the judge over the recusal issue or over the immunity issue. I don't think either of those could be brought in good faith, but as the judge has pointed out in the most recent hearing, he has a very difficult time believing Trump's attorneys are acting in good faith at this stage of the game. And I think that they don't feel too tethered by the ethical or evidentiary rules that should circumscribe those efforts.
So that's the hush money case. And as I said, scheduled for April 15th here. I want to ask you about the other case that I mentioned. You and I have talked about it a lot. The one in Florida, the one that legal experts talk about for, what are we now, 8-10 months as an open and shut, a year? Where are we? That open and shut case, and yet we don't have a trial date
over
yet.
A year, yeah, well over a year. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Judge Cannon's stalling it?
Well, I think it's, I recognize that many commentators today have tried to be polite about Judge Cannon's missteps here, and suggesting that they relate somehow to her inexperience or incompetence. I think the evidence of her bias is pretty palpable at this stage of the game. I think the 11th Circuit tried desperately to draw a line for her at the time of the search warrant and the special master cases, where they rebuked her very sternly for her basically making up the law and her lack of analysis of the required factors that went into those decisions. But her delays here are extraordinary. As you highlighted and as others have highlighted, she hasn't even set a trial date. That's remarkable. She ignored the government's request months ago to set the schedule under the Classified Information Procedures Act. That there are multiple steps that have to be gone through, and she hasn't completed step one. I think that alone, frankly, doomed the case to not start before the election or the next year's inauguration of whomever wins. But I think that it's clear that her efforts to delay this continue. The current matter that the filing was geared to today with regard to her baffling perception that the Presidential Records Act somehow has any relationship at all to the Espionage Act is stunning. And I think that Jack Smith, I think the filing today makes it plain that she has to rule, and if she doesn't rule under either scenario, they'll be in a position to take her up to the 11th Circuit, and I think the 11th Circuit will likely take her off the case.
Okay, so I want to ask you what that means, but quickly, just to be clear, you're saying you don't buy that this is just incompetence or inexperience at this point.
No, I think the evidence is just too overwhelming. Yes, she may be incompetent, but at this stage of the game, her incompetence is so gross that I think it clearly creates the perception of partiality, and her attempt to put her thumb on the scale. So I think that should disqualify her.
All right. So if that happens, this goes to the 11th Circuit, as you say, would be a next step, And those judges, as I pointed out, who have rebuked her before, appointed by Bush and Trump, they take her off the case. Does that change when it can't start before the election situation for you?
I don't believe so. I think she's successfully achieved what appears to be her goal of, favoring the president to the point where this cannot get to trial. There is just so much to be done. She's sitting on 9 motions to dismiss, 3 other significant motions, and the entire CFA process, which is complex. I mean, not for the government because they've been through it before, but certainly for her, she seems to stumble on the most fundamental things. You know, a month ago, she tripped over the fundamental issue of a public trial when she closed the courtroom to even the defendant's family in jury selection in a case, not this case, but in another case. You know, she just doesn't seem to be up to this in any fashion.